What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I finally put in a decent amount of time into the Season 1 Reloaded event for Modern Warfare 3, and today I'm going to go ahead and give my first initial impressions, basically a general review about how this update is going so far. Of course, I'm going to dive deeper into certain other topics, covering weapons, covering more detailed into the map, so on and so forth, but for the time being, I did play everything. I, enjoyed everything, and it's time to go ahead and critique, and I gotta be honest, I feel like Sledgehammer has really let down a massive portion of the community this time around, including myself. Of course, there are a bunch of positive things as well. I'm not going to say there's no positives in this update, but I would say I personally think the negatives are outweighing the positives right now, and they're pushing people away from wanting to enjoy the overall update and what content is offered to them. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, before we go ahead and dive deep, if you do enjoy what you hear today and want to stay updated on everything Modern Warfare 3, including all the updates with this recent season, by all means subscribe and hit that bell. Post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern time. And last but not least, we are going to be diving deeper into Modern Warfare 3, trying to unlock the SMG, unlock more attachments for the LMG, playing a bit more of that brand new game mode. I played a little bit of it, so I can go ahead and talk about it in today's video, but I do want to dive deeper and enjoy it a bit more and really dissect it. Of course, if you guys want to take part in any of that stuff or hop into the open lobbies that we host every single day, I do stream over on Kick. By all means, you can find a link to that down in the description of this video. All right, so let's get into the mid-season event. Again, there are a ton of negatives, but let's go ahead and start off with the positives because, honestly, the positives are going to take no time at all to go ahead and discuss. I should be able to get them out of the way pretty quickly, and then the negatives we'll really dive deep in. So, positives. I will say, first and foremost, they did mess with the hardpoint, rotations when it comes to all the maps across the board. A lot of people have been complaining about hardpoint because it does not meld nicely whatsoever when it comes to the OG Modern Warfare 2 2009 maps. So they went ahead and pretty much overhauled all the maps when it comes to hardpoint. And, honestly, bravo. Fantastic change right there. Good idea to follow, and I'm glad that they're focusing on making sure once again that the game modes are working across the board with the maps, because the spawns on a lot of these game modes are horrendous, and it seems like they understand this and they want that to improve sometime down the road in the future. Next up, the weapons. Now, again, there are some negatives I want to discuss with the weapons later on, but they did touch upon a few of them. First and foremost, the Modern Warfare 2 weapons across the board, a lot of them caught a huge buff. So Modern Warfare 2 weapons might be a little bit more relevant when it comes to this update and, possibly in the future. And again, I know everybody always gets angry when people use Modern Warfare 2 guns. I don't know why, because they're all not that great compared to Modern Warfare 3 weapons, especially when it comes to recoil control. So I never understand why people get so mad at people for using Modern Warfare 2 guns, but it is what it is. I'm glad that they're getting buffed up a little bit, but regardless, I still think it's the recoil. I'm going to test these out and play with them a bit more. I'm happy that they buffed them up to make them a bit more competitive, but what it really comes down to for me personally is just the recoil control. It's way easier to control the Modern Warfare 3 weapons than the Modern Warfare 2 weapons. Doesn't matter how much damage they have, they just feel so floaty and inconsistent compared to, picking up an MTZ, a Holger, an ACR, or something like that. So, it is good that they're buffing them up across the board, but maybe a bit more work needs to be done. I hope that they, dissect them and really dive a little bit further into it, especially when it comes to Season 2, the next massive update. Two weapons I do want to go ahead and mention are the Sidewinder, which caught a buff. Basically, the recoil control is a little bit better. It says decrease recoil and gun kick while firing, which was the biggest problem with the Sidewinder. Again, we don't really want it to be a demon, a nasty gun that has no recoil whatsoever and, has the craziest damage and a faster fire rate. No, I want this gun to be a slow shooter, something like the Man O' War from Black Ops 3. The problem was the aim was a bit too floaty and it was way too inconsistent compared to the rest of the guns. They fixed that, and I'll be honest, I tried it out. It is way better than it was day one. I highly suggest giving it another go. Possibly maybe another update down the road to fix it up a tad bit more, but in its current spot, I gotta be honest, I was having a lot more fun with it than I did previously. And then the Striker 9, this was one that I was really keeping my fingers crossed for, and they did go ahead and touch upon it. I gotta be honest, I'm extremely happy that they did so. The Striker 9 went ahead and caught a buff to the damage, so it's a slight damage increase, and let me tell you, it is a massive, noticeable difference. It feels phenomenal right now. The gun already is a beam machine, especially when you deck it out with good attachments for recoil, but now with the increased damage, it feels like it can actually compete with some of the other weapons, like the Swarm, for example, and other things of that sort. Not completely. It's still a little underwhelming, and again, like I said, I have some negatives about the weapon balancing, coming up in the future here of this video. But in its current state, it was already a gun I really enjoyed, and I gotta be honest, I think right now, you guys should definitely put it on your classes again. I know a lot of people have been rubbed the wrong way when it comes to the Striker 9 and have completely removed it from your custom classes, but now's the time to go ahead and give it another go and see if you enjoy it. The new map Rio is phenomenal. Honestly, it makes me sad because it just proves once again how much potential Sledgehammer had when it comes to making original maps. They could have made nothing but bangers, and I would have been so happy with a game with all brand new content. But instead, we got stuck with a bunch of OG maps. Nothing bad with that, but I was just hoping for some more new stuff. And like I said, every single time Sledgehammer releases a new map, it just shows me all the potential that they had to go. And, oh, God, it sucks, but again, the map is phenomenal. It's great for all playstyles, has such a fantastic flow, a lot of flank routes, and good locations to hold down. And in my opinion, the OBJ game modes, Domination and Hardpoint, feel pretty solid so far. I would love to hear your opinions down below about how you feel about those OBJ game modes as well. You know, it's nice, bright, and vibrant. A lot of people do enjoy that. Me personally, I like grittier, war-torn maps, but again, I do enjoy the vibrancy of a lot of Treyarch maps and some Sledgehammer maps, so it's nice to see, and it's definitely a nice change of tone when it comes to modern-day games, because usually Modern Warfare games are always made by Infinity Ward, and they're all dark and gloomy and stuff of that sort. Modern Warfare 2 2022 had some more vibrant maps, you know, spread here and there, but still, they kind of stuck with their classic Infinity Ward ways, whereas Sledgehammer's taking the modern day combat and they're really brightening up a lot of the scenes, and you could tell that with a lot of the new maps, besides Meat, of course, because Meat's pretty dark and gloomy, but even that map has a nice look to it compared to, you know, some of the Infinity Ward dark and gloomy style maps. And last but not least, the brand new game mode. Again, it's nothing too crazy in my opinion. It's not going to be something I main all the time, but I did say I enjoyed the style of game mode back in Modern Warfare 2 2022 when they added in that game mode that had the same thing where you basically earn power-ups. It's the same exact concept, so they just basically brought it back. They brought back the same exact thing. I'm not mad about it. I enjoyed it in Modern Warfare 2, and low-key, I kind of enjoy it now. I had a rough time because I was trying to grind the LMG, which had no attachments, and I was trying to build it up while playing that game mode. I should have probably played with something that I was a little bit more comfortable with. I might have enjoyed it a bit more, but I just wanted to see what it was all about, and yeah, it's literally the exact same thing, just Call of Duty with some power-ups. It's enjoyable for a casual party-like mode. But ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much all the positives I can think of when it comes to this update. Again, it wasn't bad, but honestly, this is kind of something that I was expecting out of a more minor update, not the mid-season event. I know the mid-season event isn't the biggest thing in the world. Usually, the main season, when a new season comes out, that is when it goes crazy. But still, it's still hype, still a lot of build-up, new items, new content, new everything. I was really expecting a bit more, and even though I was happy with a lot of the content I'm using, it was just a disaster overall. First and foremost, people couldn't even get into the experience. Warzone was busted. If you even try to consider picking up a loadout, you're done for. I mean, just look at this clip right here. You could see players just getting devastated, absolutely devastated, and this ruins the whole Warzone experience, and this has been going on all day now. Now, of course, as you guys know, I record my videos the day before. It might be fixed by the time this video goes live on the 18th of January, but for the time being, a whole day of this is not a good look. And once again, it's a bad first impressions. People have to understand first impressions are the most crucial thing. And if you turn someone away right out the gates, they're not going to come back. And that's exactly what they're doing here. I mean, some people can tolerate a lot of crap, but this is above and beyond. This is basically devastating the game. And it also leaked over into multiplayer. Every single time you try to save a custom loadout in your multiplayer class, you get booted right out to the home screen. Again and again and again and again. So you weren't allowed to go ahead and do anything of that sort. And on top of that, all of the challenges were pretty much bugged. For half of the day, the SMG was completely off limits. You couldn't even consider going ahead and unlocking that unless you go ahead and buy the bundle from the store. And the LMG, a bunch of the challenges themselves, A, were either not tracking, as in nothing was even loading, or B, certain challenges were just completely incorrect. Like, I know for multiplayer, getting kills with the AOD or whatever scope is a completely incorrect task. It's a completely different scope, and they're leading you in the wrong direction. Again, nothing crazy. It's just a typo, but again, a typo will go a long ways with ruining someone's experience. Imagine going 3 games of thinking it's just bugged and still seeing no progress on it. Your typical person would just hop off the game at that point. They're not even going to try going for that challenge again. These are minor things that should not be like this at the launch of a mid-season event, which again is a big update. This isn't small. These aren't minor tweaks. This is, a big boy update that's meant to, get a lot of people back into the game. You can't be making these small mistakes, these simple mistakes. Everything should have been checked over 1,000 times before launching. Again, I understand launch bugs. It always happens. You can't launch any update or anything without something going wrong, but this right here is absurdly wrong, and it's been going on since the first day this game launched. Every single time either a new aftermarket part comes out or a new weapon, anytime there's challenges, nothing tracks. Nothing tracks. Again, I've been very, very, very patient with this, this problem here, and I've been very kind about it. But, when it happens month after month now, this is starting to become a bit of BS. Why is this still happening in this game? Why is it every single update that drops, nothing tracks? You can't do any challenges, and it seems like more and more things break. Very, very disappointing to say the least. On top of that, the ranks haven't been fixed. When you're looking at the end of the game scoreboard, everybody's still locked at level 55. The meta shift was honestly a little underwhelming and disappointing. Again, I called out a couple of guns like the Sidewinder and the Striker 9 getting some good tweaks, the Model Warfare 2 weapons getting nice tweaks, but across the board, everything else is disappointing. They nerfed the MCW. It's still an absolute beast of a gun. They buffed a bunch of the ARs, which honestly, again, the ARs are already balanced out as they are in my opinion. The biggest problem in this game is the SMGs. On the new maps that Sledgehammer are making for Modern Warfare 3, SMGs are great. You know, it's a playstyle for everyone. But on the OG Modern Warfare 2 2009 maps, the SMGs don't perform good at all because it's not the same game. Back in the day, we had 100 HP, guns were killing in like 2-3 bullets, and on top of that, the SMGs actually did damage. The UMP was busted, it two-tapped across the map. You know, the Vector was pretty decent as well. People enjoyed the MP5 because they actually worked. They worked. Okay? The damage actually made sense. Whereas in this game, they still feel severely underwhelming. And what did they do? They buffed the Swarm, which was already the meta in the beginning. This was already the meta. They buff it again. They buff the Rival, which was already the meta. They completely ignore the AMR, and they give the Striker a little bit of a buff. Why? Why? The Rival should have, I mean, honestly, the Rival change wasn't too bad. They made sure it had less horizontal recoil, which is exactly what needed to be done. I mean, this was an amazing change, and it's very minor, so it's not that much of a buff. It's just aligning the gun a bit more. But the Swarm buff is completely uncalled for. It literally got an increase to maximum damage range, and an increase to near medium damage range. First and foremost, it's already the best SMG in the class for ranged combat. They're making it even better now at ranged combat, and it's already a demon up close and personal. Further pushing this gun into the meta, which is completely opposite of what we wanted. They told us it was going to be a meta shift every so often. Every other update, every other, season to mid-season, whatever it is, there was going to be a meta shift. This isn't shifting the meta. Again, it's good that you're buffing up the Striker 9, but what's the purpose of buffing up the Striker 9 if you're literally going to make the current meta even more powerful than it already is? If you didn't touch the Swarm and buffed up the Striker 9 and the AMR, then we could talk a little bit. It will be good. It will be a good change here, but they didn't. They didn't touch the AMR. It's still useless right now. The Striker is a little bit more relevant, but it's still going to be severely outclassed, outshined, and nobody's going to touch it because of the fact that the Swarm got a buff and the Rival got a buff. That's all I saw. And honestly, you want to know the biggest problem? Skill-based matchmaking. My God, I have never been more devastated trying to go for challenges in my life because this week's challenge to get the new LMG are all disasters. They make you use every horrifying aftermarket part that you could possibly think of. The aftermarket part for the Holger, whatever, the aftermarket part for the Rival, that freaking iron sight that they put out in the game, horrifying. These are all the challenges you need to do. You need to get kills with this stuff. And again, not shabby if I can actually get some normal matches, thrown into the mix. But every game was the Swarm, the Rival, the ACR, or, like an MTZ or something. Everybody was sweating out meta. Nobody was going for challenges. Ridiculous. It was just horrifying, a horrifying experience. 3+ hours it took to get this LMG because the matches were just going bonkers and the challenges weren't tracking, so it extended the time that it took to even unlock any of this stuff. And no skill-based matchmaking talk within this update. Nothing has been said, not even a peep, not even saying, oh yeah, we're still working on it, keeping us updated, nothing. Not a single word. I gotta be honest, I'm a tad bit disappointed here. I was expecting a lot more feedback, a lot more communication, and a lot more focus on trying to, emphasize on things. I mean, the perk balance wasn't even adjusted whatsoever. The perks are still going to be the same. People are still going to be running the same meta stuff because there has been no adjustments. No adjustments. And the funny thing about it is that they buffed the bone conduction headset or whatever it's called. But it's not even a good buff to give us counterplay to the perk variety. It's just a buff to make it even better at, canceling out background noise on the battlegrounds. That's literally it. That's literally it. No, I don't want that from the bone conduction headset. I want counterplay. Why does Warzone get fantastic counterplay with their perks, but multiplayer doesn't? Everybody runs the same thing because it's pointless to run anything different or else you'll get murked. Same thing with the vests. Absolutely no crucial updates to the vests either. Like, they did minor things here and there, but nothing big, nothing game-changing, and nothing meta-changing, which further brings me to my point that this update shouldn't have been the mid-season update. This should have been an update that came out before the mid-season event because these changes aren't big at all. There's no major shifts in anything. Again, tiny tweaks here and there. And I guess, yeah, the weapon meta will, or be arranged a little bit. And I feel like more people might try out Modern Warfare 2 guns. But you're telling me people are going to stop using the Swarm and the Rival and the MTZ and the 8? No, not a chance. Not a chance. And if you tell me otherwise, I don't know what to tell you, bro, because these guns are absurdly dominant. And they have done nothing in this update to pull you away from using that stuff. And same goes for other things. They have done nothing in this update to pull me away from Dead Silence. They have done nothing in this update to pull me away from the Assassin's Vest. They have done nothing in this update to do anything. I'm going to rock the same thing over and over and over again with a little bit of extra content. I guess maybe I'm asking for too much out of this update, but again, I set my standards and I told you guys exactly what I was looking for out of this update. They had a long winter break, and I respect everybody on their break, but they're back and that to come in harder than ever, and this was a weak entrance from a long break. This had to be a banger, and I feel like they're going to lose a lot of support. Obviously, I still enjoy the game, and I'm excited to see what comes down the road, but I can't deny the fact that they really let down a lot of people, and honestly, a lot of people couldn't even play the update with how bugged and broken it was right now. So, with that being said, it's fun, cool content, but I don't know if I would necessarily suggest anybody hopping back in just to try this stuff out, especially in the current state of the game. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, go down in the comment section. Let me know your opinions. Let me know if you did try out this update and what you think of this update. Have the challenges been tracking for you? Are there any improvements? What do you think of the LMG and SMG? All of the above. Of course, subscribe and hit that bell, guys. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern time, and we will be covering absolutely everything. I'm going to be doing an in-depth video describing this new map, showing you guys my routes and how to play it, specifically what guns might be best classed for this map. Same thing with, reviewing the new SMG, reviewing the new LMG. I might be testing out the new game mode as content. There's a lot of stuff coming in the future, so of course, if you guys are interested, subscribe and hit that bell. And last but not least, we do open lobbies over on Kick, and we will be indeed grinding the LMG parts and also for the SMG today on stream. So if you guys want to see that, see me rage live and in action, by all means, you guys can find the link to that channel down in the description of this video. We do it over on Kick, and that stream starts around 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.